Did you guys see the photo that I posted of the new pin for the podcast?
I did, and then I noticed that you had it sitting there, and I was like, ooh.
Isn't it kind of sharp?
It's sharp. I wish it was metal.
So the prototype is plastic, but you're actually going to get a metal pin. And so we're thinking like $5 or $6, maybe $8, just somewhere. It'll be less than 10. But I think it's a really cool way for people to brag about the show and then show support for the show. They're pretty slick. I think next week what we should do is like a Facebook Live video where we'll start taking orders because they're in. We got 100 pins. So we're going to see how fast we can sell those.
You black little bastard.
Well, that's how we'll start the episode. He was talking to my cat. Episode 43 of Beyond the Blast Doors. So happy to be with you on what we're recording on PGA Championship Sunday. I'm in my blue, and Jesse was being mildly racist to my cat. David Gilbert, Jesse Buck. Nope, this is what we're going with. So glad for you to be here. We've taken a couple of weeks off because we have been busy with our personal lives, and it's been a little slower in the Star Wars galaxy. A couple of new things that we'll touch on this week's episode. We're going to be talking about the new Lego sets. Those are finally on store shelves. I think Walmart dropped those within the last week or so.
I bought 2 of them.
Oh, really? Which ones did you get?
I bought the X-Wing and Anakin Starfighter.
Get out. I want the Starfighter. We can talk more about that in Pages, Pixels, and Pieces. By the way, don't forget, every week we give away free comics. What I'm really excited about is this. Our good friends over at the Fantasy Shop, we've got together a bundle, and so we're going to be able to give a couple mini-series, like in their complete run, away in the next couple of weeks. So be on the lookout for that. I'm not sure if we'll do that on the episode or if we'll do that on Instagram. Good time now. Make sure you're following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Guys, we finally have things to talk about in Star Wars. So let's just jump right into it. The fact that since the last time we got together, production for Star Wars Episode 9 has gotten underway. We knew that it would begin the beginning of this month, August 2018. So that way we have a movie in theaters December of 2019. And J.J. Abrams kind of reactivated that dormant Twitter account of his to show us a picture of his camera. And I don't know if you guys saw the detail, but I like to touch the fact that he had markings on there from Episode 7 when they shot, and now you see the IX, so Episode 9. So the camera is back, which I think is kind of cool. Bring back the director who began and ended this new sequel trilogy. Bring back the same damn camera. David, let's just start with you. We got this article from our good friends over at StarWarsNewsNet.com, so I want to be sure to give them credit. But, David, you read through this article, you're starting to see a lot of cast members sharing their reaction to the start of production. What excites you the most?
I'm excited for the enthusiasm that everybody's bringing to the table.
Okay.
You got Vic Mahoney, who's the second unit director. Big role for her in Star Wars. She's super excited about the cast, the film, the culture that they have over there, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
John Boyega, of course, is no fan to social media. No enemy to social media, I guess is a better way to phrase it.
Probably better.
But he's got lots and lots of pictures out there about him hugging new cast member.
And a lot of training.
A lot of training. Doing some things that look very challenging that I would never attempt to do.
I wonder if any of this involves a lightsaber. Who knows?
It'd be exciting. More lightsaber. Lightsabers are always good.
Can Finn be force sensitive at this point?
No. But he can play with a lightsaber.
Yeah, he can play with it. He can find a little lightsaber.
Sweeping the floor at the end of the movie was,
Well, what excites you about this article, Jesse? Because, the production has begun. So what has you titillated?
I'm excited about it because it just means over the next year that we're going to start seeing even more news, maybe a few teaser screenshots. That is the one thing I did like about, when 8 was in production, we saw, a lot of behind the scenes, pictures and everything. So I did enjoy that. Rian Johnson did provide a lot of really nice photographs and everything.
Now, you mentioned the fact that you were excited because we were going to get to see some footage soon, but we are all in agreement here that the earliest we'll see any kind of footage would be Super Bowl Sunday, right?
I'm actually thinking more like Celebration, maybe.
Well, Celebration happens after.
Yeah, but I'm leaning more towards Celebration.
So you think that they're going to keep it under wraps until April?
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, they kept Mark Hamill's return to this movie pretty under wraps, too.
For Episode 9?
Yeah.
They're very open about it. They confirmed him in the cast. When we talked on Episode 42, they confirmed that he's in it.
Yeah, but up until then, I mean, he full-on cleaned that beard up and,
Yeah, but they can digitally put a beard on, or they could put makeup more realistically. They would do makeup beard.
I just think, I think they're going to stay tight-lipped because keep in mind, we have a whole extra day of Celebration added for this one. Something big's going down.
There's at least a teaser. You have that many eyes on Super Bowl. You have to think you're gonna have at least a teaser for that, right? Isn't that when we got Chewie We're Home? I believe that was when we got Chewie We're Home. That teaser.
After
have to look it up.
Solo not advertising hardly at all, and after the general consensus debacle that people have deemed The Last Jedi, they're going to need to end this very, very well. And I think that's going to have to be very well advertised. So I think we're going to get something maybe even sooner than Super Bowl Sunday.
Wow.
I think we may get something Christmas time, maybe a movie coming out at that point.
What's the next big picture coming out this Christmas?
I would assume it'd be it wouldn't be Aquaman because that's DC. You don't really have an Avengers movie until next year.
Marvel comes out.
Is that November?
Let me look.
We can look that up. I'm going to stick to, I think it's going to be Super Bowl just because you have more than 100 million people.
March 8th.
Of 2018?
Yep.
Okay, so still February, Super Bowl. That seems to be the earliest point, but most likely we're going to have to get something at Celebration. But I think you're going to get close to a year campaign for this movie because this is that final installment of the Skywalker saga. So we'll see what happens there. You know, something that I think is interesting, a rumor that's circulating right now about Episode 9, though, is this idea of, with it being the final movie, is it possible that we'll see Episode 9 be split into 2 movies? That there's so much to cover that it needs 2 theatrical releases, a part 1 and a part 2, kind of like what we got with, my mind goes like to Harry Potter. Didn't the Hunger Games do part 1, part 2 for its last installment?
Yeah, I think so.
Jesse, let's start with you on this one. Is Star Wars kind of a story that it needs 2 movies to tell that final episode?
I would actually be very open to that because, given the disgruntled fan base with Last Jedi, doing a 2-part movie and, essentially each part you could go 2 hours. I'd say that's like an average runtime for, for a movie.
Yeah, with Star Wars,
Okay.
It's been about, I'd say, like average of like 2:15.
Potentially, doing a 2-parter would allow Abrams a little more flexibility to bring some of those story aspects that he introduced in 7 back into the fold, which I would love to see that, just without a doubt. Or on the joking side, he's going to reshoot The Last Jedi, and that would be your first part.
I don't think that's going to happen,
know,
especially
I know.
since in his thank you note to the world, he included Rian Johnson.
But,
I think that it's different from Avengers,
Yeah.
because Avengers 1 and 2, the whole Avengers MCU has been set up like a comic book. Each movie's a new issue, and you feel like you're getting an arc with Avengers 1 and 2. Star Wars has never been that. Star Wars, the movie came first, then the book adaptation. You weren't like Harry Potter where you had this huge book 7, and you had, there was just so much you could explore. You could get away with 2 movies. Basically making the second movie one big war. David, do you think that Star Wars should stay away from this part 1, part 2 approach? Obviously Marvel's doing with Avengers, Harry Potter has done, these other franchises have done. Do you think it messes with the whole episodic labeling of these movies?
I think it would mess with the episodic labeling, but if they're trying to do what's right for the fans, I think they need to go to 2 movies.
Really?
When you look at the Harry Potter, when you look at The Hobbit, and they stretch it out into extra movies, you can tell they're just obviously doing it to make more money and not necessarily to give fans the best story. If you think about everything that we've had in the last 2 movies of this third Skywalker saga trilogy, we have a lot of things that we don't know the answer to. We still don't know how Maz got the lightsaber, where the hand came from. Abrams teased us with that Knights of Ren that we've talked nothing about in the movies since then. Is that really the end of Snoke? Is that really the end of Daisy's family, where she's just a nobody? We have to rebuild the rebellion. We have to give them a chance to overcome this adversity. We have to rebuild the Republic. What do we do with Kylo Ren? Is he done? Is this where he's evil and there's no opportunity for redemption? Is there redemption, and do they tell that story? What about restoring peace to the galaxy? What about setting up the future for all of these characters that they've now developed with Rey and Finn and Poe? Where do their stories go, as well as Chewie? What happens to him?
He becomes wed to a pork. That's what's happening, right?
That'd be adorable. But there's so many things that they need to do, and on top of that, we know that Abrams is adding more new characters than any other Star Wars film except for the original has had. He's having more planets than ever before in a Star Wars film, which means this could be really, really big. And so if they're going to be big, is this going to be the longest Star Wars movie we've ever had? Longer than, what was The Last Jedi, 2 hours and 41 minutes or something?
No, it was like I thought it was 2:31.
Are we getting a 3-hour movie out of this?
Which I'd be fine with.
Are we getting a 4-hour movie split in half with this?
If it's going to be 2 movies, though, wouldn't you want to know that sooner than later?
Not necessarily. I could see them filming it all, getting the story put together, looking at the footage in the editing bay, and saying, we should probably have 4 hours. Maybe they'll do like a Lord of the Rings where we get a 4-hour movie, but they cut it down to 3 for the theater. Maybe they'll split it in half. But to me, there's just so much there that they need to do something with this information.
I think that's a really good take, and I really appreciate you laying out just all the questions that we still have unanswered going into this episode 9. For me, I would just like a 3-hour movie and it be done. I think we've proven as a movie-going audience that we will sit there for 3 hours because of the Lord of the Rings. That fan base sat through the Hobbit trilogy, which was garbage. They still went and filled the seats. So I think that fans are willing to go to a 3-hour movie as long as it's good, right? You went to Avengers Infinity War Part 1. You sat through that movie 1, 2, 3, 5, 7 times because it was a great utilization of its long runtime. You went to the Justice League movie, and you sat through it once, and you wept a little bit. David will still try and tell you it was a decent movie, and I will disagree. But that's a different show. I think great conversation. I think where I stand on this is, like I said, I want one movie 3 hours long. 3 hours after the scroll. And I just want to have a great space adventure. I want to have a true space battle, something that excites me like that opening battle of Revenge of the Sith, like the space battle that we got in Return of the Jedi. I want to see lightsabers. And I don't know how you integrate lightsabers into this final episode unless you have the Knights of Ren. I want to see them light up with sabers. I don't want them to be like the Praetorian Guards where they have like battle axes and stuff. I want them to have like legit sabers that they have forged, or that they've somehow, maybe like Kylo Ren bled like 9 crystals for his crew. However that works out. I want to see a lot of lightsabers. I want to see Rey's going to be the only one, as far as we can tell, with a blue or green blade. She probably will have that blue blade, recovering the crystal from Skywalker's saber. So somehow,
I want to see her make a new saber.
I want her to take that staff and make it a double-bladed lightsaber. I've been waiting for that ever since I first saw her for Force Awakens. But either way they do it, I think if they do 2 movies, they should announce it sooner than later. If it's just going to be one long movie, fine by me. I get worried about the Part 1 and Part 2 because is it episode 9.1, 9.2? Is it episode 9, episode 10? I don't know. I know that online recently there was a discussion like, after episode 9, will they keep episodic movies coming out? And I would hope not. Like, I feel like episodes 1 through 9, that was the Skywalker saga that was like the main. Everything else after that should be an offshoot, right? There shouldn't be an episode 10, 11, 12. If the Skywalkers are dead, the saga is complete. Like, that's 1 through 9. That's the whole telling. Let's just release, Star Wars, Jyn Erso's, slumber party. Whatever you want that next movie to be, you'd watch it. You'd watch it, she's a prisoner, and they're on the planet, and she has that roommate, that real ugly guy at the beginning of the movie, and they have some conflict, but they work through it.
I feel like you should be ashamed of yourself for that one.
Let us know what you think. Do you think Star Wars Episode 9, the Untitled movie slated for December 2019, should it be 1 movie? Should it be 2 movies? Should we find out sooner than later? Do we need to see footage at Super Bowl? Or can we wait till Star Wars Celebration? It's a lot of questions that I'm asking of you. Please, just answer them all. We want to know what you think. That's how we continue the Star Wars conversation. David, do you have something? I thought you jerked up. He got excited. He lurked up.
I wanted to look at my show notes to make sure there wasn't something I was missing.
Well, I think we rocked it all out. We talked about JJ getting excited about production starting.
Yep.
Character actors showing their excitement. Movie being split into 2 movies. We don't really know. I know that there is like a new location that was found for some shooting, but that's minor stuff. We don't know anything.
It's in my back.
They were talking about like at Pinewood, like they're using both of these barns, and the one barn is known for like I think the Yavin base, a lot of New Hope era stuff. So there's speculation like which planet which planets will we see in Episode 9?
Rumor about Snoke coming back in the next movie after his abrupt death, and how Abrams is going to reincorporate him and Luke into the new script.
I wonder if they are like scary ghosts. Like, I wonder if like Luke comes back to torment Kylo, trying to show him that he can stop this.
Or they grew another Luke from the hand.
See, I remember reading that in the EU and hating that. Because I don't understand how like a clone can have the memory of all. I mean, it's Star Wars, I get it, but come on, that's just a bit of a stretch for that world. I don't know. We'll see. We'll. I don't. If Snoke comes back, it would be crazy because we've never seen a Sith Force ghost. Like we've never really.
I think I'd probably pee a little if that happened because I mean.
Because like if Snoke came back as like a Force ghost just to mess with Kylo, I can see that. Or like if there was some exploration, like can Force ghosts battle each other? Like do you have like that like Final Lord of the Rings thing where the dead come back and they save the day? I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing. Oh, you're mulling that one over, aren't you?
I don't know, because I think if the Sith would have been able to do that, we would have seen Emperor Palpatine already.
Okay.
If he had that knowledge. I mean, and Sith and Jedi had been around for thousands of years before Qui-Gon even figured out you could do this.
Right, but my thing is right, and so that my question then becomes: do you think Palpatine, in his greed and his lust for power, ignored investigating life after death?
I think we know from the TV shows that he didn't. He investigated that quite heavily.
Oh, that's right, because in Clone Wars they played with it quite a bit, didn't they?
Yeah, Clone Wars a little bit, I guess. I talked about it in Rebels.
Right, with
Ezra's parents and...
the whole Force time-space thing.
Yeah.
World Between Worlds episode.
But even then, I don't know, who really knows how to do it? Qui-Gon can speak, Yoda and Obi-Wan... And I guess Anakin, well, maybe because Anakin somehow figured it out in the Return of the Jedi.
Right, which I'm hoping, not to jump ahead to Pages, Pixels, Pieces, but I would love to see somehow it depicted where Vader is learning the ways, like studying. Because we haven't really seen that fully explored. We've seen, like, there was a certain point of view, that short story with Qui-Gon talking to Obi-Wan. And then we had, we had, like, a couple references in, like, Clone Wars and Rebels. But I'd really like to see, like, how does Anakin, corrupted by evil as Vader, figure out this path? Because he does, in a way, find eternal redemption. Like, he saves his soul somehow. So it'd be cool to see how that gets figured out. A lot of cool things. That's what's great about Star Wars, is you can do so many possibilities. Wow. How would that work?
Well, I mean...
Because, like, even if you look at the Star Wars comics, I'm going to go on this tangent. Even when you, like, read the Star Wars comics, like, we'll talk about 19. When they show him in meditation, they show, like, here he's human in red, but he's blue. Like, it's blue and cold, all the metal on him. And so I'm just trying to figure out how, if he is that consumed by evil, where does the light come from all the red rage?
This is a little bit of a stretch, but, like, for me, like... You can actually kind of look to the films for it.
Okay.
In Episode 4, after he strikes Obi-Wan down, there's that moment he's sitting there prodding he thinks it's a trick or some kind. So I kind of feel like at that moment, he's baffled. He wants to know what just happened.
So you think this is something that would take place post A New Hope?
Yes, he would be actually start kind of maybe
trying
to figure out.
And we don't know how much time it takes to master this skill. So it's like what, like 4, 5, 6 years in between A New Hope and Return of the Jedi. So like, I guess that's enough time to figure out how to live forever.
Yeah, but I mean, Anakin was considered to be, the most powerful Jedi or Force user, in the galaxy. And yes, he's missing a lot of limbs, but it doesn't. His mental state is definitely messed up. But the fact is, in some ways, his ability is still there. His cognitive ability to sort things out. So my thought is like that happened. The Gears guy, he's just like, what's going on here? And I think he would have maybe started really kind of looking into that in his own way.
Really interesting. Maybe that's like a special video that we make, is like how Anakin learned to save his soul. Maybe that's like a side video we make. That has a lot of potential.
Just an observation.
We'll work on that. Let's switch gears to Jon Favreau's TV series, or what's going to be for the streaming service. And Jesse's really excited about this because there's been a lot of speculation that Jon Favreau is such a fan of Mandalorian culture. You know, he played Pre Vizsla, he voiced Pre Vizsla, and pretty involved with some of that Mandalorian storytelling in Clone Wars and Rebels. And so we find out that there are 10 episodes. I believe they are. We're learning that the 10 scripts have been written. They're going into production. Bob Iger on a phone call reveals that these 10 episodes combined will cost $100 million. When you first hear $100 million for 10 episodes of TV streaming product, what do you think, David?
Well, rumor has it it's going to be more than $10 million an episode. They're saying it could be as much as $250 million for the 10 episodes.
Okay, Okay, so that's an update because Bob Iger on this last week's phone call, that was the story that came out.
Yeah.
But I think we should just even if it's just $10 million.
So they're saying $250 million for 2 seasons of 10 episodes.
Right. So
that's
about double than what I talked. So $100 million for the 10 episodes.
That's ridiculous. I mean,
But-
that's amazing.
It speaks to the type of quality we're hoping to get, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I think immediately Game of Thrones. Because before Game of Thrones and before Rome on HBO, those were 2 series that really pushed the envelope with what you could do with TV serial storytelling. And I think each episode of Rome cost like $5 million. I think it varies for Game of Thrones, but this is the quality, the level, how far they're pushing this series. This isn't just going to be like Days of Our Lives.
What this tells me is that they are doing a lot of visual effects, which is what I want to see because I want to see lightsabers.
If we make a bumper sticker for David for his car,
I want to see lightsabers.
I want to see lightsabers. Jesse, we're learning that a lot of this story is going to be involving Mandalorian culture post Return of the Jedi, how they revive the planet of Mandalore.
Keep in mind, all rumor at this point, but I actually...
You know what's annoying? Let me talk to you for a moment. We talk about this before the damn episode, and he gets all excited about it.
I am excited.
And he wants to talk about it. Then we get on here, and he's like, guys, we got to use caution. It's all a rumor.
Well, I
don't want to get too excited.
It's news, but I don't want to send, false...
Tell me what you think.
I would absolutely love for this to take place on Mandalore and see all that. Again, it's rumor, but I think it's got a lot of, strong points. As you mentioned, Jon Favreau voiced Pre Vizsla in the Clone Wars series. He has played a part in that. This planet does actually play somewhat of a pivotal role in other points of history. I mean, like one of the bloodiest battles in the Clone Wars. It's referenced in the Ahsoka book. It's somewhat referenced in a way with the Solo movie with the Darth Maul's cameo, because that's where his crime syndicate is on Mandalore.
Which that would be fun if there's a way they could bring Maul back into the mix.
Yeah, I mean,
quite a jump though from the Han Solo cameo.
And obviously in Rebels you have the whole, 4 or 5 episodes of basically, Mandalorians fighting the Empire.
The beginning of season 4 is like a 3-episode arc of that.
I think the demand for it is there. I mean, obviously, I'm down with it, and I'm pretty certain thousands of other Mandalorian lovers like myself.
I'm trying to think of characters that we've experienced, that we've met in the Clone Wars and Rebels. Do any of them make it to the series? Do you see like a Bo-Katan? Do you see Sabine in this series?
I can totally see both those characters popping back up. I mean, Bo-Katan, I think, would be kind of, obviously old at this point.
But definitely would help with continuity.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously Sabine survives Rebels and up to the end.
I know that. Did I tell you I finished the series?
Yes, that's what I went. I was trying to motion earlier, and
yes, we're good. We're good. I am
finished
caught up on season 4. We're done with that series.
How'd you feel about Space Whales?
Feel like it was a cop out.
Okay, did you cry?
No.
When Kanan.
No, he thinks the monologue is weak. He thinks the ending monologue with Sabine narrating is a weak ending to the series.
Yeah.
Okay, backtrack. But when Kanan sacrifices himself, that is a powerful moment.
Yes, there was a lot of explosions, and it was really fun to watch.
All right, so we're hoping Bo-Katan returns, and maybe Sabine. I think, honestly, that Taya Sakar could come back and play Sabine, because I think... Why not? They look pretty the same, and she's obviously the voice.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I've kind of noticed lately with a lot of different things that they've been using the voice actors' likeness. I mean, if you look at
Freddie Prinze looks like
Kanan, and what's his name, Ezra, kind of, that it's there, and that's not outside of Star Wars. I'm seeing this across the board kind of thing, and that makes me actually happy because
I think a lot of
puts a face to
to
the character.
And
more.
the animators use a lot of their, and I know this from just watching, I don't know, a variety of things about animation, but like animators will take the emotion of the actor and incorporate that to make it feel more lively. So yeah. Very cool. Well, very cool conversation, and I think that there seems to be a lot of potential. Like we said, $100 million for one season. David with the update, $200 to $250 million.
That rumor, not confirmed.
But for 2 seasons. But that would make sense if they're saying 100 for 10, and you're going to do 2 seasons of this. This is something that if it's successful and it goes over well with fans, the Star Wars show, whatever it's going to be titled, could go on for 5, 6, 7 seasons.
Which would be cool.
There's no...
Especially if there's lightsabers.
There's no time... I mean, it can cover the timetable, but there's no spot where it has to begin or end.
How long do you think each one of these episodes will be just out of...
Well, that's a great question, because they could be 22 minutes, they could be 45 minutes.
I'm actually leaning towards the larger scale of like a 45 to 55 minute long episode.
Which would be
and if you're going to
great.
spend that kind of budget...
Well, they'd have to be, right? Like, it'd be insane if it was 10, 22-minute episodes.
If the first season is 10 episodes. I mean, I get it's a whole different franchise, but Game of Thrones generally is a 10 or 11 episode season. On average, each one of those is 50, 55 minute long episode.
I would
totally be down for
I would take that, because what you're getting with that budget is movie quality storytelling on the streaming service. And something else that Bob Iger did confirm is not for the near future. We will not see any movies, Star Wars movies, on the streaming service. So, but basically, with this series, you're getting 10 movies.
Are we in a new golden age of TV?
Well, yeah. I think the hurdle, though, that we're going to be faced with as the consumer is how many streaming services do you do before you're overexerting your finances? And I think that if you say the average cable bill is $60 or $70, that allows you 6 to 7 services.
I don't remember the exact reference, but I know at one point in time that George Lucas himself actually thought that storytelling, it was going to move away from the theater because Hollywood wants to put these time restrictions. They want 3 books in 1 movie kind of thing, and it's not possible. And this almost happened to The Lord of the Rings, actually. They were wanting 1 movie for that.
That's ridiculous.
That. And they got 12 hours of content out of it.
Yeah, so, it's just kind of interesting to actually kind of see, what George kind of, thought would happen is actually kind of happening. And I'm excited about it because, this is all across the board. This isn't just Star Wars. So, if you're a big nerd of just whatever, this is happening across the board. You're seeing these longer series, and the writing on everything just seems to really be improving. Like, people are bringing their A game to stuff, and I
Which
love
is
it.
Cool to see.
Yeah. So I'm totally 10 episodes. I don't care. Shut up, take my money, Disney. If it's bad in the end, fine. But I'm leaning towards a good series.
There are rumors that this Disney streaming service is only going to be $5 a month when it releases.
Well, and then they're going to win. They're going to win, but I can see it going up. But here's the thing, too, though. We're not getting that streaming service until late 2019, which means we probably don't see a full episode of the series until 2020 at some point.
What if this gets released shortly before Episode 9, and maybe this fills in some of the gaps that we don't know, like the Knights of Ren or rebuilding the...
It's possible, but I don't see how you get the Knights of Ren Mandalore. I don't know. It seems like they're coming out... They're trying to put the Mandalorian thing front and center, so if that's where we're starting with this series, or maybe it's like traditional Star Wars, where you're watching, 2 or 3 stories and how they converge. It could be like that. I don't know, but I would... Man, that's... I guess, but this series is supposed to be taken just a couple years after Return of the Jedi, and you're trying to take that first episode and connect to 30 years down in the line. I don't know. We could see. Storytellers, They're better than us. That's why they're here. We're here. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. Are you excited to hear that the Mandalorian culture will be further explored with this TV series? We know that Jesse's excited, but it seems like a culture that could be a lot of fun because it kind of brings in like a medieval vibe to Star Wars. That I can roll with.
I mean, gosh, I could do probably a whole episode about all the history and lore.
Bet you would love that opportunity.
One whole episode, Jesse, you disappoint me.
I feel like you could do like a month.
I'm just being kind to you guys.
Let's do this because we're gonna kind of keep the same Mandalorian theme going, but we are learning that Jeremy Bulloch, who is the original Boba Fett, played the character on set of Empire Strikes Back, is retiring from the Comic-Con circuit. He released a statement on the BobaFettFanClub.com website, just basically citing that he and his wife have come to the decision that he's done. I think health-related issues, and apparently this has been an issue that he's been facing for a couple of years now. It's been a gradual thing, and just want to say thank you to the time that he's invested into the fandom because this is a guy that got called. It came out in '82, Empire Strikes Back. He got called the year before.
I feel like we should know that.
He was brought on set during production, and they just asked him to be Boba Fett. He ended up also being an Imperial officer in the movie as well in Cloud City. 80?
May 21st.
Okay, so maybe it was 79 that I heard.
Yeah, I mean, it's really an interesting story. I mean, if you just, as a whole, the development of the character Boba Fett, where the armor transitioned to the bounty hunter, and then it was just like, you look like you'll fit in it, put it on. Kind of thing.
Right.
And that's how he really essentially got that role.
And he has like no lines, but yet he becomes this fan favorite. And now you see like his comic books going for $50, $60, $80.
You know, just all across the board, like everything I've read about him, he's just an extreme joy to talk to. You know, he loved talking about the character and like the mannerisms that, you know, he portrayed, the body language and everything. He didn't have lines because obviously they used what was his name in the original, you know, like the voiceover.
I don't remember the original voiceover, but I know that they took the guy from Attack of Clones to revoice in the special editions.
The point is that body language, though, tells an immense amount of the
It's
story
like David
and
Prowse and Vader.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't know, for me, it's that moment that he looks down the hallway where Luke was hiding around the corner kind of thing. Like, that's where the fascination for me began with this character. So it's just, I'm upset in some ways because we're going to Celebration.
Right.
He's normally at Celebration. I was hoping to, you know, obviously get an autograph.
But nonetheless, we respect his decision.
But yeah, I mean, just over the years, just the videos, and you can tell the health change.
Right.
Know, and I think it's the right decision.
David, let's talk about the fact that it's a smaller character, but it is someone that has really grabbed the love and the affection of the fandom. What does it do for you? You mentioned before that your intrigue with the franchise has increased since starting the podcast. What does it mean to you to see like these lesser characters so beloved by fans starting to step away now? We're getting to that time where everyone's kind of getting too old for it.
Well, first, my fascination comes in the fact that he is such a minor character, yet he has his own fan club on the internet. So to me, that's just kind of mind-boggling and really kind of neat and endearing. Like, if I were a minor character, I wouldn't expect anybody to give me the time of day.
They don't give you the time of day now.
Right, so not much would change. But as you guys drag me to these Comic-Cons, which I find to be very enjoyable, and seeing all the celebrities there in their signing booths, taking photographs with people, obviously washing their hands a whole lot with Germex and stuff because they're touching people. And but it does seem to me like it's kind of it would be the end of an era to be a celebrity who goes to those Comic-Cons and then decides to hang it up, because that's really where they still get to connect with their fan base, with the people who have supported them.
Right.
But I do think it's really nice that even though he's not going to be appearing, he's still going to do autographs and signatures if you send him stuff.
Right. And Dave Prowse, we mentioned him just a moment ago because he was kind of in the same situation. Yeah. He did the movements but didn't do the voice. He does something very similar where you can catch him in person sometimes, but his main thing is you send him in something, he'll sign it, or you can buy some of his merch that he has signed.
Those Comic-Cons pump through a whole lot of money on autographs and pictures.
Oh, yeah, they do.
I was up in Des Moines, and I saw David Tennant, and it was $110 for a photograph. And so I tried counting the people in line, and I stopped counting about 250 people. this guy just brought in $30,000 by taking pictures for 30 minutes.
St. Louis Wizard World, that was Sean Bean's first
Yeah.
Comic-Con, and I think it was $150 for an autograph for him. I mean,
the amount of money that these guys generate.
Fandom is weird, and
it really is. But
I've reevaluated. I'm 26 right now, and I remember when I was a kid. Let's use golf for example, because this past week has been the PGA Championship. I watched Tiger Woods play golf on TV for 21 years of my life. Okay, and then I got the chance to go to the championship in St. Louis. I got to see him on the tee box. At one time, how far away you and I are, Jesse. That's how close I got to Tiger Woods, arguably the greatest golfer to ever play the game of golf. He's just a guy. He's just a dude. And to think of when I was a kid, I would have gone to any length to meet him, to get his autograph, to get a photo with him, to hold his hand. Especially hold his hand. Now I'm just standing there at 26 years old, and I'm thinking to myself, it's he's just a dude. It's kind of weird for me.
Restraining order coming.
Yeah, it's kind of. But don't you think you get to an age where it just kind of gets odd to want this man's signature? It's more valuable, I think, to get that moment you had with Dave Tennant. You probably got to say "Hi, I'm a big fan of your work. Thank you so much for the joy you've given me." That's more valuable, I think, as you get older than I wouldn't want to pay $150 for a signature.
No.
But
to meet him, take a picture or something, it's a little more worth it.
Yeah, just to have some kind of gratification.
But still, $30,000 and 30 minutes of people just wanting to take a picture with you.
That would settle my student loan debt, David. Just incredible. Let us know what you think down below about everything that we talked about. And also, if you could take the time down below, just throw a comment in there and just say, thank you, Jeremy Bulloch, because this guy is a legend, and we are so thankful that he's been able to give so much of his time, his years, to all of us fans to help us enjoy the franchise even more. Let's switch over to Pages, Pixels, and Pieces. And, of course, we got to start this segment like we always do, thanking our good friends over at the Fantasy Shop in Maplewood, Missouri. This segment is brought to you by the Fantasy Shop. We're proud to have our local comic book shop as our official sponsor. Comics, collectibles, toys, Magic the Gathering, and board games. The Fantasy Shop in St. Louis, proudly serving St. Louis since 1981. I want to make a quick mention of this because David, who is the manager at the Fantasy Shop, saw that photo of the pin that I posted on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and was like, gotta get one of these to wear around the shop. And Dave, I know you're going to be watching it at some point. I know that you're going to be having this episode play some point at the Fantasy Shop. I would love to find out if you'd be willing to take 20, 30 of these pins, and we could sell them at the shop. Let us know. We'll follow up with you. But I think that'd be kind of a cool idea. I really do think we should do a Facebook Live video when we get the pins in hand. I think we should just start. We should just go live. We'll tease it for about a week or two, and then we'll start taking orders, and we'll see if we can sell out of these.
You get a pen.
Everybody gets a pin.
Think about it, though. This is a great way for people to help rep us, help spread the word about Beyond the Blast Doors, and it also helps us maybe with some potential upgrades. This could open the doors for us being able to go to a con and attend as a vendor. It could help us, upgrade our camera.
I really want an Emperor-style chair to sit in while we're doing this.
Well,
figure out where this little piece goes on our light kit.
Where did that doohickey come from?
We don't know.
We don't know.
Something's going to fall and hit me at some point, and it's going to be amazing.
And we'll laugh at you.
It won't be like last week where the light just comes down. We had a cut to fix that. It's fine. We picked right back up. That's why we covered everything with a graphic. Let's talk about two really great issues that we got to read this past week. Star Wars 52, Darth Vader 19. Let's start with the main line because I think this arc right now is sensational. We're talking about a period in time where, we're post-Mon Cala conflict. The rebels have assembled what seems to be the first time where we've gotten everybody together in this very cool looking space station, and the Empire is able to track them down and blockades them. And a really interesting issue about trust with Han and the rebels, and basically Queen Trios has bent over the rebellion with tech, or at least that's what we think. We still don't know if Queen Trios is a traitor or not.
I'm convinced she's a bad person.
It's set up right, you don't trust her.
If she was really that good, she would have found her way into the movie at some point. If she was really that important to the rebellion, she'd either be in the movie or she dies beforehand.
Yeah, but this is the thing when you have those movies made in the 70s and then you're going back decades later and you're creating the backstory.
But you know what? Rogue One did a really good job with that.
Okay.
You can shoehorn some of that stuff.
Very valid. But basically, we don't want to give everything away, but, having read 50 and 51, you know that there might have been a compromise with the security systems and a lot of the programming for these rebel ships. And when it all goes to hell, Queen Trios is nowhere to be found. David, what is your reaction? Because this issue is awesome where it starts out with Vader chasing Han and Chewie in the Falcon.
So we always complain about the way the faces look.
Yes.
But the rest of the art, I think, is top notch.
Yeah.
So watching this really cool chase scene with the Falcon, to me, was really exciting to view, panel by panel, flipping through as fast as you can, pretending it's happening in real life. Almost kind of wish it was like a flip book type scenario that you could see it. But I really enjoyed that. By and large, I felt this issue was kind of a filler compared to the last couple, parts 1 and 2. Because really all that happens is Han, does this chase scene and then finds Luke, and they have a conversation, and then they fly away, and then they get into another space battle.
I could have done without sending C-3PO through the escape pod.
Yeah.
But I think, here's my thing. Anytime I get to see in the panels X-Wings flying under Star Destroyers, because it seems like no matter who does the art, it's not that hard to do a Star Destroyer. And there's just a couple panels in this where you're seeing the dogfighting happening underneath, under the looming. It's just awesome. It's just really cool. Jesse, do you have anything on that, or should we just jump to Darth Vader 19?
Jump to Darth Vader 19.
Okay, we'll jump to Darth Vader 19.
I'm excited for Darth Vader 19.
Go ahead, take it off.
Can we just start with how awesome the cover is? How reminiscent it is of one of the earlier movie posters.
Oh, with Vader like this.
And Palpatine in the background.
Yeah.
And just, I don't know, it gives me the shivers.
It was great storytelling. And we were having this conversation the other day that, aside from issue number 11, I think it was.
With the bar scene.
With the bar,
and
with the
car
chase and all that.
Yeah.
It's been the storytelling has been so above average. It has been extremely well done. And you have, whether it's Charles Soule doing this writing, which I hope he stays on as long as possible. You have, Kevin Coley doing the artwork. It's just a great compliment. And every issue to me seems to, one, build on itself very well and improve. We were talking last issue, we thought it was kind of a filler because it was this idea of Tarkin hunting down Vader, but still I thought that was great. Just getting the idea that Vader would want, to just kind of reinforce the Tarkin that you might have the authority over me, but I can end you, and so then you go to this issue, and I thought it was interesting. We get another familiar face from the prequel trilogy, a Jedi that has just become a priest, or he says he's just a priest, and then all hell breaks loose with a saber bite. You got lightsabers.
I got lightsabers.
Yay.
And another Jedi died, so yay for the Empire. And, yeah.
It was interesting to see. There's one moment where you see an Inquisitor almost give remorse for the victim, and I thought that was interesting because then it's three panels later, it's oh, I'm just kidding.
He sucks the baby away out, and she's like, no, not only did I just take her child, but I completely destroyed her trust with anybody ever again.
Yeah.
And that's just twisting the dagger right there.
I always get concerned, how much talk is too much talk with Pages, Pixels, and Pieces on comics? How much can we give away? Are we at the point where it's it's several days later, so it's we're probably fine?
Several days later.
We've been doing this for 43 episodes. Okay, 43 weeks we have come together at a table similar to this, and we talk. I still don't know where the line should be, but I think if you like lightsabers,
just throw the spoiler thing up there before we talk.
Oh, we probably should have said that at the very beginning of this conversation.
Spoilers.
Just put the little picture up there.
I kind of want to get audio with Jesse just going spoilers, and that would just like that. I'm sure that would get everyone's attention. If you like Vader, if you like lightsabers, I think the Inquisitorius gets a nicer depiction in this issue. I enjoy their role here more than in previous attempts. I feel like the dialogue with them, and I'm not slamming Charles or anything, they're almost stupid. They come off as not having the ability to strategize or problem solve. They feel very elementary. And to me, these are Force-sensitive creatures, most of them past Jedi, former Jedi, that turned. To me, they should be very cunning and very intimidating, very intense. And I feel that they're almost sometimes comedic relief and oh, Lord Vader, what will we ever do?
Damsel in distress type thing.
Right.
I don't know. See, and I don't know a whole lot about each of the Inquisitors and how they got their job. I mean, of course, the Grand Inquisitor was a a guard at the temple. But even in the because they get the first page of the opening crawl in these comics, and I think in this issue they even called them Dark Side Adepts, meaning neophytes, if you will. So I don't know. I guess I should go learn more about them.
We should.
Yeah.
Did you read the comics this week? I don't know. Let us know down in the comments below.
If they didn't, they get a chance to win them, don't they?
You get a chance to win them right now. That's right, because it is episode 43, and we still get to do our weekly giveaway. And we do have one more topic in Pages, Pixels, and Pieces.
Well, before we give them away?
Well, we can go ahead and give them away now if you'd like.
We can't. Yeah, can we? It'd make me very happy. I like sharing my love for this Darth Vader comic.
Okay, well, that's fine. Do you have a suggestion for the hashtag? I have one, but if you had a suggestion, I would take it.
Go for it.
Well, I was going to go hashtag that's no priest.
Okay, we can do that.
Are you cool with that? Hashtag that's no priest? Because in the comic, he proves to be a Jedi. He has a lightsaber. He uses the Force to get it.
Yeah.
It's in like this rock Voss thing, and then he just starts. Or should it be hashtag that's my baby?
I'll defer to your judgment.
What do you think?
I don't have a strong preference. Babies or priests? Which one do you prefer? Either one will land you in jail.
Yeah. I like the first one a little bit more. I think I would someone else.
That's no priest.
That's no priest. There we go.
no priest.
Hashtag that's no priest is what we're going to do. I'm going to send that off to Steven so he can finish the graphic for that contest. And we'll be sure to let you know who wins this. I think what we're going to start doing is on Fridays, doing like a quick Facebook Live video where like I'll show you, like I put everybody who entered in the generator, and then like we'll do like the live update, and then so that way you find out on Friday right there instead of having to wait for the episode to come out. You know, that makes sense. All right, so that's no priest. Last topic for Pages, Pixels, and Pieces. I'm excited that we get to talk about pieces. Jesse gets to jump in the conversation again because he likes Legos just like David and I. We have several new sets out on shelves right now. Is this would be the fall slate, I guess? This wouldn't be the summer slate. Summer slate was back earlier, right? That was for the solo wave. So we got some new sets. I'm going to list them off first, and then we'll kind of go one by one, if that works for you. So we have Snoke's Throne Room, 75216, I believe. 75219 is the Imperial AT Hauler. Big fan of this ship in the solo movie. I can already tell you I like the look of this set now. You have the 75218 X-Wing Starfighter. We've seen many renditions of this. The 75221 Imperial landing craft. This is the second incarnation of the landing craft. I have the original at home. It's about a third of the size larger. There's a couple sets recently, like the Sandcrawler in the last wave. That medium scale size was drastically smaller than the previous and the UCS models. This is an exciting one to me. 75217 Imperial Convex Transport. This is the train from Solo. It's the front compartment, and then they give you one car. I would have liked to seen this a little bit more detail. We can get into that in a little bit, but I think it could have been a little bit more. I think it could have given you another cart. I think it could have been like more of a vehicle. But I think it's about functionality and playability. My favorite out of this set is going to be 75214 Anakin's Jedi Starfighter. This is a Starfighter that we would have seen him quite a bit in the Clone Wars series in that era. So really sweet with that dark gray on yellow. I think anyone who likes trying to do their own diorama of the Hoth battle, the Battle of Hoth, they'll be happy with 75203 Hoth Medical Chamber. I mentioned earlier the Sandcrawler. It actually was out with this wave, 75220 Sandcrawler. It's probably more affordable for everyone, but it is significantly smaller than the two previous incarnations. And then 75215 Cloud Rider Swoop Bikes. So that's kind of nice because you can pick up the Swoop Bike set and you can get the Hauler set, and you can probably do a nice little diorama with that between the two.
But the next one's my favorite because we get yet another Millennium Falcon.
Well, that's been out. That was out.
The Kessel Run one has?
Yeah, that was out. Remember, you talked about like 3 weeks ago how you wanted to get that.
Yeah, because I'm excited.
It's okay. You can be excited, buddy. It's okay, Pookie. You're still excited because you have Krennic Shuttle. Like, you still have that masterpiece.
I love that.
It looks so good on your shelf.
Every time he comes over, he picks it up and plays with it.
It has
I'm
such
just waiting for the day where he does it and he drops it.
Such great swoosh
that would be
factor.
the day that our friendship ends.
Stop it. It has great swoosh factor. You know what I'm saying? You swoosh. Jesse, you bought 2 of these sets, actually.
I did, actually, yeah.
So X-Wing Fighter and you got the Starfighter, Anakin Starfighter?
Yeah, so long story short, I
That's
actually had,
always preferred. I love when you say that. It usually is a lie, but
I had the first ever X-wing, Lego X-wing.
Yeah,
that
me
was
too.
Released. I loved it. My mom tried to do a charitable thing, gave away my brother and I's all. She purged the house of Legos.
oh no.
And
I
this
think
included
for the full
the
story. You can check out like episode
40,
37
yeah.
or 38,
yeah. So this included the original X-wing, which I had complete put together on display on my nice shelf that I had in my room. So obviously, really pissed off. Thanks, Mom. So part of me, being
She's
an adult-
watching, so she'll hate you when you get home.
So being a big kid at heart and everything, I have my favorite ships.
Yep.
So them releasing this, and it's what is this? I think it's $79.99. It's,
Okay.
Maybe I'd go for it. Give it like a month or two, it'll be like $10 cheaper. But I really wanted it, so I put it together. It's a really nice build. It's very stable. The wing mechanic is very nice. It's like a lever action kind of deal.
Right, it's a crank in the back, right?
Yeah. I'd say my only frustration with it is that when looking at the picture online, and it kind of feels like it's more gray bricks. They used a lot of white bricks on there, so it has a very clean looking feel to it, which is a little frustrating because Luke's X-Wing was by no means fresh off the factory floor kind of thing.
Well, actually, it might have been because we know Red 5 got blown up the movie before now.
Point being is it's still a nice build. You get to see the new helmet mold pieces for the pilots,
Cool.
which are really cool. You get Biggs Dark Lighter and Biggs' droid as an astromech unit.
Yeah.
You get another R2, which there's thousands of them running around with every set.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously you get Luke and
How's Anakin Starfighter? Because I have behind me. Here we go. I have it right here. This is from the Clone Wars. Oh, I just broke it. Can you get that piece? That's all right. Oh man, I really did bust this thing up. Oh my gosh. I'm doing the front wing. There we go. So this is Anakin's Starfighter from the Clone Wars, the micro series that was on Cartoon Network, and this is probably my favorite Jedi Starfighter. But that I'm trying to put the piece back on so that way you can enjoy it. What was I going to say, though? The way this compares to the other one, though, it's a bit more traditional. The one that you got is a bit more of a traditional styled Starfighter in the series, but still looks super slick, and I'll pass that over.
kind of compare here.
Basically, it just doesn't have the front engines, right?
Yeah, so like in comparison,
Try and hold it out there so that way if people are watching, that they can have a better idea. Okay, go ahead. Well, keep it out there. That's what I'm saying.
I'm not going to hold it out there all of that. Here, we'll set it. Right
There you go.
Would you like me to be your Vanna White? I can.
there we go. You got the
How many
nice
people
hands.
does it take to explain a Lego set? All right, go, Jesse. You got this.
So some nice things like this set that you have here is obviously a more piece count. It's a little bulkier.
Okay.
The new set is I think roughly like $20. So it's a reason.
Pretty affordable.
A pretty affordable price, and it's actually a very pleasant build and everything. I thought very sturdy. You get a updated Anakin Skywalker, with the nicer, hair piece. This looks like he has a toupee on in this one.
Watch yourself.
But no, I mean, for a smaller build, it was definitely a lot of fun to put together. It looks great. The profile, the shape, both ships, by the way, just feels like in a comparison to everything else, really, really nice looking.
And it's very early Clone Wars era Jedi Starfighter, right?
Yes.
This is kind of like it's the same style that you would get with Obi-Wan in Attack of the Clones, and this is also the style that we would get in the early goings. Basically, actually, all of the Clone Wars TV series, because you didn't have. I don't remember seeing the Revenge of the Sith Jedi Starfighter in the Clone Wars. Oh, wait. No, they were there because Yoda had his style. Okay. All right. So, but this is early Clone Wars era. That's the point. Okay, cool.
But
Go ahead. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
yeah, I mean, they're really great builds to pick up. I have them sitting next to I picked up the TIE Fighter that was recently released.
Okay.
That was a fantastic build as well. But yeah, these look really nice next to my UCS Slave 1. And just proportionate wise, because you have the Slave 1, which is a
Right.
bigger ship.
Mm-hmm.
It really does look good as like shell pieces. So I was definitely content with it.
Awesome. Well, happy for you to have those sets. I think that if I were to get anything right now, I would for sure be getting the, just because they all go together, the train, the Convex transport, the Cloud Rider swoop bikes, and the Imperial AT hauler. I feel like you could do a really cool diorama on a low budget level with those 3 sets. None of those sets are more than $65. I know when you group them together, it gets pretty pricey, but I think there are, master builders are far and few. Mm-hmm. So they're going to be able to have the time, the money, the resources to make something really in depth. But if you're a fan of that Solo movie and if you like that scene, Lego's giving you 3 sets that have reasonable count pieces that give you all the minifigures that you need, and you can have some real fun. Are you going to be tempted to buy like 2 or 3 of these Convex transports to make like, the train to be up and upside down? I think that's where I get upset because it's just one side. I would have paid $20 more to get a little bit bulkier of a vehicle and have it be, give it some track and be upside down. You can buy, a secondary set that gives you more pieces. But it's Legos. And the thing is, they're targeting kids, and we're just the kids that grew up with the original sets. We have moved beyond their demographic.
Now, a nice thing actually between the 2 sets is that the hauler is actually able to pick up the cargo piece on the train.
Really?
Yes. So there is a nice playability function there for kids there between the 2 sets.
Well, and the haulers weren't the haulers also used to transport walkers on the battlefield? I thought we saw that in that one scene.
Possibly.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know.
But yeah, I think you're right though. I mean, for like somebody who's really into doing like the mock builds, you could pick up maybe a couple of these train sets. Again, if you're on that larger scale of mock building or master builders, you've got like pieces for like probably railways, and I wouldn't be surprised to actually see a more like movie accurate mock.
I would love to see that,
which would be really fantastic to see.
And I think the swoop bikes are cool, but they're just like they're kind of too bulky for the minifigure. And that's the thing is like, remember when we were kids, like they would have like Lego cycles where the little slit would go between the legs, and it was like just this little bike, and that was perfect. I don't know why they didn't make a mold like that for the speeder bike, because we don't need, I'm sure it's to up the piece count so they can charge more, but all you need is a little thing to put a minifigure on. You don't need this big bike.
Now, interesting that you mentioned mold is with the hauler, what's the four-armed alien guy?
Oh, Jon Favreau's character. I don't remember.
This is cool because with this particular set, you actually get that character, and he has 4 arms. So he has a new arm mold that gives that Lego piece 4 arms.
Oh, I see that. Okay, cool.
So that's kind of new. Like to see it. Maybe if you're a fan of just across the different genres of Lego, you might start seeing some really nice pieces coming up.
So we mentioned a lot of these sets already. We went through the list, and we're just trying to tell you what we like and dislike about the new wave. I like the Sandcrawler. It's a cool set. It's just when you see this compared to the previous model, you'd rather have the previous model because it's so much larger. It's like, do you get the latest ATT? No, you want the Clone Wars animated version because it was 3 times the size.
My issue with the Sandcrawler is it looks nice. It's actually the price point. You're paying roughly the same amount of money that you'd be paying for the Kessel Run Falcon. I would go with the Kessel Run Falcon over the Sandcrawler any day.
I did not realize the price point was that high on the set.
It's on par with, I think that maybe the Falcon's is a little bit more expensive.
Well, and what's frustrating too is that Lego.com doesn't show the prices on the site anymore. You have to go to the shop now if you want prices.
It's $129.99.
It's not worth it. I would not recommend that set.
So I mean, it's again, it's a nice looking set, but I would wait for maybe a price drop before picking it up.
The Hoth Medical Chamber set is cool. Again, if you're into doing mocks, I think it gives you everything you want. The Bogda tank, the droids. It gives you that piping, those piping pieces, which are really cool. David, what do you think about this Imperial landing craft that we got? Because it comes with 2 stormtroopers, but then it comes with R2-D2 and Ben Kenobi. Do you remember a time where Ben Kenobi took on an Imperial transport and 2 stormtroopers?
No, I don't. So I was looking at this one pretty in depth because I really like that good old-fashioned Imperial shuttle.
Yeah, the Lambda class.
Which
yeah.
is why I like
The Tridorian shuttle.
right, and I really like that. And these things have on the sides. The mic keeps like spinning on me if I don't have it. We'll go this way. That way it's tighter. But the sides,
tight, it ain't right.
It's got like great big white cases covering some of the stuff. I don't even know how I would describe that, but it looks ugly and I don't like it.
So I wish I had my original here, and I wish they had the original to compare. But this, I would say, is a third smaller than the original. And in the original, I could fit like 10 stormtroopers inside. It's that transport from the special edition. So that first time that George Lucas went into A New Hope and was like, I'm going to make it the way it was supposed to be made. He did this scene where, like, instead of just like 3 stormtroopers patrolling Tatooine, he put like 50, and then there were all these transports.
Like this one?
Yeah, well, that's the original. What you're showing me right now is the Toydarian shuttle.
I would not buy this from Amazon because it's $749.
But that is the set that you would want.
But yeah, that's the set. That's
It would be nice to see that one make a comeback.
There was one several years ago. There was a few years ago. I would encourage this one for the price point. I hope this isn't teasing the Obi-Wan standalone movie, because I feel like there would be a continuity issue someone would get offended by if you're going to tell me that Obi-Wan took on a Imperial shuttle.
I think one of the things that Lego is trying to do is, like, if you look at like previous models of things, you know, there are aspects of the ships that maybe didn't like flow too well or look right. So, like, I mean, you mentioned the side bricks on this new shuttle. You know, I'm kind of wondering about the playability and everything, because I mean, if you look at the side, you know, if you actually look at this picture,
those sides are going to come up.
They look like they open up, so it might.
But what's with the gap? It's like lazy designing.
Yeah, but there's also bricks in between.
Maybe the gap is there to show us that there's stuff inside.
You know, like if you actually look close, there are bricks in between those two.
Do you think there's maybe a missile launcher?
I don't know. And, you know, that's the going trend lately, is them adding the, you know,
I'm
laser
looking
function.
So if you go to lego.com/Star Wars, that's where I'm at right now, and I'll put the photo on the screen. It shows the side hatch opened up, and it's like a really small compartment where you can maybe put one trooper, and there's like a 2x8 brick used as a ramp, and then it looks like those are supposed to be missiles. Those bricks you see in the front, where that gap is, those are supposed to be like missiles. I like the back view, like from afar. I like how they've done this ship aesthetically. I like the engines in the back. That looks good.
It has a nice profile.
But I think the functionality of it doesn't compare to how well they did with the original model. And that's fine. I just think if you're going to rehash a model multiple times, that next one should be better. This one may be more cost-effective for the consumer, and that might entice people to come out. The only one that we haven't really hit on now is Snoke's throne room. I think that's because, for me, I'm like the least impressed by this. It reminds me when Revenge of the Sith came out, they had a playset where it was that time where Star Wars was experimenting with the Lego was experimenting with the light up lightsabers. You push the minifig head down and the lightsabers lit up. Yeah. And so it was like the 3 prongs of the Mustafar lava station, and the one fell down, and you could rotate things on there and move characters around. You're seeing it? Yeah, so you guys are looking at it. The throne room kind of reminds me of that. You get 2 Praetorian guards, Snoke in his chair, Kylo Ren, and Rey. I don't think I needed the mobileness of his chair. Like, I don't think it needs to rotate. I think it would have been a fine display piece had it just been like the chair overlooking the battle. Now you buy this set, you can build it without that functionality, do whatever you want. But that was really the only thing. To me, it just seems kind of basic. I would have rather seen them do maybe a bit more in-depth set. Like the throne room maybe could be a little bit more detailed. And maybe I would just get 1 Praetorian guard, but then there would be a battle pack with the other Praetorian guards. Something like that, because the minifigures are always going to be what dries up these sets. And so I guess I would have liked a little bit more detail. I do wonder this. We'll ever get like a UCS of Snoke's ship? Because, you've gotten the UCS Star Destroyer, the Super Star Destroyer. How large?
It's going to be like the size of our whole.
Oh my gosh! It would honestly. If
bigger than the Falcon, the $800.
Yeah,
they could. You could do half the Lego pieces and have a set that takes up more space than the Falcon.
Whole room.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. The more I'm gonna be honest, the more Jesse talks about his UCS Boba Fett Slave One, the more I want to go get the UCS TIE Fighter. It just when Jesse talks about shelf pieces, that's like pristine for me. Anything else we need to say about these? I feel like that was like really in-depth conversation. I think that was really good. Are there any sets that you're gonna buy of this new wave? I know you want to get the Falcon, David, but any of these new sets that you might get? TIE Fighter would look maybe really cool with the X-Wing.
I'm not a big fan of the sets that are scenery things, like Snoke's throne room and stuff like that.
You like the ships.
I like the ships.
Okay.
And I typically like the Imperial ships. And if this Imperial landing craft looked better to me, I think I'd go for that.
I think it looks so good.
You know,
I don't like how they're action pieces. You know, like if you have a crank or if you have anything that like moves or functions, it's always like a brown or a blue or a red or a yellow. Mm-hmm. And I hate that. Like this should be like a dark gray piece. And so that always kind of takes me out of it. I'm bummed that you don't like it. I like it because it has like the AT. It kind of looks like the AT-AT head in a way.
If I'm gonna drop money on Legos now, it would be the Millennium Falcon set. I would love a better Imperial landing shuttle. I would love a cost-effective Star Destroyer of some sort.
Okay.
Traditional one, not First Order.
Yeah.
Here's one thing, like, and I'm just
Throwing it out there.
throwing it like this is another prediction. With the 10th anniversary of the Clone Wars announcement and obviously a whole new season, I think it'd be awesome to see a batch of new Clone Wars related Lego sets. Maybe
I think there's a lot of people holding for maybe you get the Ghost to come back. I'd like to see some clone vehicles come back. Gives them an excuse to do another.
the Arc Fighter is another one of my favorites.
They've never redone it, and I would love for them to do it.
I would love to see that one redone.
Do the V-Wing again. I miss the V-Wing. The V-Wing where the wing came down. I regret not getting that set all the time. So a lot of possibilities with that. Good to mention. Let's transition now. Again, Pages, Pixels, and Pieces brought to you our good friends at the comic book shop, Fantasy Shop in Maplewood, Missouri. They've been sponsoring St. Louis taking care of St. Louis since 1981. They've been sponsoring us for a couple of months now, but they've got everything you could ever need. Comics, collectibles, toys, Magic the Gathering, and board games. Proudly serving St. Louis, proudly serving us, proudly serving just everyone. They'll service them all. All right, so stash it or blast it. This is the last segment for our show today.
No.
And we just kind of want to dive into a funny thing. You know, Mark Hamill is such a personality on and off camera, but he's also on Twitter. And apparently President Trump can't keep his star on the Walk of Fame like neat. Like it's not his responsibility, but like people are breaking it. They're like destroying it. And it's like the second time in like 2 weeks that it's been destroyed. And Mark Hamill made the suggestion we should permanently remove the president's Walk of Fame star and should put down a Carrie Fisher star. And while I think everyone can have their own star, it just proves that Mark Hamill forever fighting for the legacy of Carrie Fisher.
This is actually an interesting story. Like when I heard this, I was like, "What?" Because the guy, obviously, whatever your politics are, that's your business. From what I understood, this guy showed up with a guitar case, from what I read, opened it up, and basically, pulled out a jackhammer or a pickaxe, and straight up removed this thing off the sidewalk.
Which isn't the first time it's happened.
Like you mentioned, this is about, I think, the
second or
third time that this has happened.
But isn't this area like it's heavily commuted? Like, how does no one see and stop an individual with a jackhammer?
Are you going to stop somebody with a jackhammer? You full on desperado to.
You've been to L.A. People don't, there's something going on in the street.
They're too busy talking on their cell phones and looking pretty.
Tweaking out. We're just going to keep walking. Oh, guy's got a jackhammer. Huh, not my business.
Now, some other developments is, I don't know if it's true, but supposedly it's actually been voted to actually remove his star for real, just for some of his comments that he's supposedly made. Again, all rumor. You can look into it yourself. And then, of course, as you mentioned, you get Mark Hamill, who's ever kind of like fighting the his the good fight kind of thing.
But it's funny because
comical about it.
He was on Jimmy Kimmel like months ago, and he was on the Walk of Fame with a jackhammer. And so it's funny because he posted the meme later on, like, it was me. Like, but it's true. Like, it's kind of funny how that all synced up. David, I want to get your take on this because, Carrie Fisher should have a star on the Walk of Fame, right?
I think she should because of the impact she's had. But something we need to remember is that the Walk of Fame is not given to people because of their impact. It's a Chamber of Commerce thing for them. In order to get a chamber or a star, you have to get nominated, and then there's a selection committee of 6 people who are probably biased and probably bought.
Yeah.
And then after they select you, then you have to go raise $30,000 to $40,000, most of which covers the cost of the star plus maintaining the star, and the rest of it, well, I guess that's really not most of it. That's probably pretty cheap. But then the rest goes to the Chamber of Commerce to keep it functioning.
I think that with Carrie Fisher, you mentioned this before the episode, and I think it's okay to say, movie credits alone wouldn't make it happen for her.
Not.
But I think you can make the argument that the character of Leia is so iconic that's good enough to put her on there. But what she has done for mental health, as you mentioned before the episode, Jesse, she has done for variety causes, she's a animal activist as well, and she's also just been like a comedic entertainer. I mean, like how many? I mean, I feel like every time I see like an AFI Lifetime Achievement Awards panel with like Spielberg or Scorsese or George Lucas, like any of these guys get up there, she's up there making them laugh. I think she's just Carrie Fisher is a pop culture icon. And one way or the other, she was going to get a star. She doesn't have a star yet, though, so that's the whole point. So she needs to get a star.
I would like to see her, even if they don't remove Trump's star, I think she does deserve a star.
Yeah, I don't really care if they remove it or not. It doesn't.
Again, your politics is your politics. This isn't what this is about. It's mainly just Mark Hamill having a good time, and I mean I got some good laughs, because he posted the picture from he's on the, if it was me, and it's just like it's totally Mark Hamill.
Posthumous nominees, according to the Wikipedia page, must have been deceased at least 5 years. So we have what, four more to go?
Yeah, we got some time. It's still fresh, still looking the wounds. I want Carrie Fisher to have a star, and that's all I got to say about that topic. I think coming up the pipeline, a lot of comic news. I think would be great is next week if we could kind of show off those Legos that you grabbed. I know we're going to have more comics. Star Wars X-Wing, the RPG game, has released 2.0, which is really exciting. Kind of excited to see how they look at those models and update those models because they're already so detailed.
Well, yeah, that was. I actually saw this tweet from Sam Witwer, and he's just like, "How do you guys keep upping the game like on an already detailed piece?" Like, so I'm like, man, I kind of want to maybe get these just because they look that good.
Yeah, they look really good, and David and I have played like the basic X-Wing game. We haven't done a whole lot of the expansions. But the Millennium Falcon one, as I always think of, is so detailed, and I'd like to see like some Clone era stuff. Like I'd really like to see like Republic gunships and such. But excited to see what those campaigns are. I still haven't gotten too involved with Legion. I know that there was one day where Steve Hyman and I were down at the fantasy shop in Maplewood. We were getting some video for a couple future projects, and they were playing Legion there, and it looks really fun. But I mean, these are games that you need a crew that you can roll with, and you need to block out some time to really play and lose yourself in that world and in that game. So, and it's an exciting time right now because you're not getting a lot of video games right now in the Star Wars universe. You are getting a lot of RPG, a lot of card games, and you're getting entertainment in that area, in that arena. So, fingers crossed, though, I would love to see an updated version of Battlegrounds or a re-release of the original 2 Battlefront games. One can dream, probably what happened. But then again, we said that they weren't going to close out the Clone Wars series, and guess what happened? Jesse was right. We know.
Just remember, they are releasing a ton of Clone Wars-related content for Battlefront 2 this fall.
I'm so excited. We are going to pillage that. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Episode 43 is in the books. We will be here next week, and we might be talking about some more Star Wars Episode 9 stuff. But it really does seem that we need to dive into this whole idea of how Anakin learned to save himself, how to live after death. I think that would be a really interesting thing to explore. Did you enjoy this episode? Let us know down in the comments below. If you can, please take the time to hit the share button and post that on your social media. It just helps us expand the audience. And if you haven't already, comment down below, #That'sNoPriest. Reference to Star Wars Darth Vader comic number 19 this week. Thank you so much for joining us as always. Next week, episode 44 out every week by 8 a.m. Central, Monday morning. I'm David. That's Jesse. You're you. That's it. May the Force be with you.